Today I'm gonna show you how to make this nightlight. Super cute. It ended up fantastic and it was really easy to make. Hey you guys, I'm so excited. Today I will show you how to make this nightlight, how I made this nightlight. Super cute. It's basically a tower that sits on this plank of wood. The tower has a rabbit on the bottom, that's how it sits on it. And then here we have one of those park lights. It's a battery operated park light. It sits under the kitchen counter usually. So that sits in there and illuminates these window panels. It's hard to see here the panels because, well, it's super bright outside, so it's bright in the shop. But in order for you to see the panels, I'll put this white paper right behind it. I'll also try to insert a clip if I go into a dark room in the house. So one of the panels is this lighthouse. The next panel, it's a seashell. I want it to be all nautical theme. Then we have a boat over here, super pretty, and an anchor. Now, no, it is not stained glass, these little windows, they're just acrylic. I had a lot of scrap acrylic from my templates that I cut with my laser. So I just cut some blanks of acrylic and then I took them to my newest tool in the shop, which is the UV printer from Eufy, the Eufy E1. And I printed on that acrylic these images, and that just makes this stained glass effect. And I think it turned out fabulous. It was so easy to make. Now, because this is a prototype, this is not the finished product that I will be selling. I just wanted to see if I can get the proportions right, if the thing is even gonna work. So it's just a prototype. I didn't put too much effort into it, but still ended up super cute. It has the continuous grain all around and such. And so it's just a prototype. During the process of making this, I did make many mistakes. The biggest mistake I did is putting the finish. I couldn't tell if I should put the finish before I glued in the window panels or after. So I put a little bit of the finish before and then I had to put more after, and it just kind of was a pain. I think when I would do this again, I would definitely pre-finish the wood before I glue up the box. I will pre-finish it with maybe shellac, and then I'll glue it up, and then I'll glue the panels in. But still super cute. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. And let's get right into it and show you how I made this. Now the video, it's going to be kind of, some of it is going to be voiceover, some of it I'm going to talk to you directly, just because I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of trying to figure it out, so I was focused on that. But also, if you want to purchase this printer, I'll put the link in the description below. It is an affiliate link, that means to no extra cost to you. I will be earning a small commission. Without any further ado, let's get right into it and show you how I made this. Now, this whole project started with a plank of 1/2-inch walnut. And I cut that plank. You will see me cutting it on the table saw. I cut it into a rectangle. My rectangle, it's about 5 inches wide, 8 inches tall. And then after I cut these rectangles, I have 4 of them for 4 walls for my box. Then I went to my handheld CNC and I cut a hole in it, and then the hole has a rabbet around it because the plexiglass is going to sit there into that rabbet. So that's the way we'll make the window panel. Now, of course, you do not have to use a CNC. I just used it because it was easier for me and I had it. You can just cut it with your jigsaw or scroll saw. You can cut a hole and then you can sand it down and make it round. Or you can make a template, so that way every hole is exactly the same, and then you roughly cut and use that template and use a flash trim bit. And then to make the rabbet, you can use a rabbeting bit and do that. For me, it was just easier to do it with the tools that I had, so that's what I did. And you will see me doing that next. So here I'm at the table saw, and first I want to make sure that my edges are straight for the board I will be cutting into pieces. So that's what I'm doing here, and then I'm using my crosscut sled to cut the 4 walls of the box. Super easy. First I raised the blade to the proper height. I had a stop block, so every single one of those walls are exactly the same size. And super duper fast, I was able to cut 4 walls for the box. Once I cut the walls, I put them on the table, lined them up, and marked them with blue tape and a permanent marker to make sure that I know which order they're going in, so I can have that grain going through the panels in the same direction and continuous grain all around. Now I'm using my Shaper Origin, but like I said, you do not have to use this. That's what I used to make the hole, and the rabbit was just the easiest way for me. Now, because we're kind of making a box, we need to cut some miters so we can put these 4 walls together to make our light box. So I'm going to cut some miters quickly and then we'll move into the next step. For me, the easiest way to make miters is to use my miter gauge. So super duper easy, again using a stop block. It didn't take any time to cut the miters of this box. I'm gonna call it box because, you know, even though it's a nightlight, it is basically a box with holes. So that's what I did here really, really quickly. So here's what we have so far. This is kind of our box. And now we need to put some rabbets on the top and the bottom, so that we can just put a bottom and a top, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this to the table saw and put about a 1/4 inch rabbet on the top and one on the bottom, on the inside part. So let's go do that. I am using a 1/4 inch dado stack here, and I put a sacrificial fence. So I'm just running those pieces, the top and the bottom, and getting a perfect 1/4 inch rabbet. All right, you guys, so we have our panels with the hole and we have a rabbet in there. And our next thing is I cut some acrylic blanks from cast acrylic with my laser. I use the X Tool P2S for this. And these blanks, I cut them at 3.5 inches, and they should fit perfectly into that hole sitting flush with the wood. So this is going to be our windows that we're going to see the design through when the light is on. So let's go to the fun part. Let's go to the UV printer, the E1, and print some designs onto these blanks. The designs I chose for today's project, I chose some boats and lighthouses, all kind of nautical themed. So that's what we're gonna print on this, and we'll see what it looks like. So here is the printer, very, very easy to use. I'm just going to drop these blanks onto the bed. This is the large bed. And then I'm going to go into the software and just drop the designs right in the middle of those blanks and print it, and we'll see what it looks like in a second. As you can see right now, the machine automatically it's taking measures and taking pictures. So then on the screen on the computer, I'll have a clear image where my blanks are with an image, and I can accurately place my designs on the blanks. The machine uses 2 lasers to measure the distance. So it is really, really accurate, and the camera also really, really accurate. Now I know it's hard to see because it's an awkward angle, but the machine already printed our images and they look fantastic. So we have our blanks and they are printed, so we're good with the blanks. And while you guys were watching the printer doing such an excellent job of printing those blanks, I was busy, let me show you. I was busy cutting a lid for our box. So what I did is just a square, and then I put some chamfers on the edge, and this will be the lid that will be glued just like that on top. I also cut another square of wood, and this one is going to be the bottom. This is where we'll put our light, and that one it's going to sit just like that on the bottom. Now I made it thicker so you get a little shadow line, it sticks out. If you want it to be flush with the ground, you could just make it thinner, but for me I like that little shadow line, so I think I'm going to leave it like that. So now it's time to glue in our acrylic blanks. Now to glue in the acrylics, you can just use CA glue or you can use Well Bond. This is a glue that sticks to pretty much everything and it dries clear. For me, I'll be using this one today. I laid out my blanks the way I want them to sit into the box, and let's see. I'm going to squirt some glue into this acrylic piece. And I'm going to use a brush, and let's get them all out first. And then just put a little bit of glue into the groove, Like I said, this glue will dry completely clear, so we shouldn't have much problem with it. Now, if I was really smart, I would have sprayed with shellac the inside first, so I don't have to put finish while my blanks are in. But I am not that smart, so I didn't do that. And because of that, I think I'm gonna put the finish now while these blanks are drying. Now, since this box is not really for sale, it's just a proof of concept, I'm just gonna use some board butter for finish, and I'm gonna leave it to this. I'm gonna try not to get into the miters, that way the glue will stick to my miters. So I'm just gonna do maybe just roughly around my windows, because I can add finish after I glue out the box, but it will be harder to get precise around the window while it's already glued. So I'm just gonna loosely put some finish around the window. Like I said, if this was for sale, I would have sprayed some shellac. Once I was done putting the finish around the windows and the inside, I flip it back with the outside to the top, and I put some blue tape to make sure it's all lined up. I registered against the flat board, and this tape is going to act as a hinge and hold it tight for the glue to dry. And where is my top panel? It's right here, like that. And I will also glue up the top, so just a bit of glue on the top. My box, it's a little bit out of square, so I'm going to square it up. There you go. I think I'm gonna put 2 more rubber bands around it just to put pressure on it and hold it tight. Once the glue was dry, I gave it a good sanding, and then of course finished the whole box inside and out. And I used the same board butter, which is not something I would normally use on a box, but because like I said, this is just a prototype, I just did it for a quick finish. Now when it comes to the bottom panel, I first draw some diagonals from corners to corners to find the center of the panel, and then I stuck the magnet with it has a sticky tape on it, so you stick in a magnet on the bottom, and then I put the finish because I was afraid if I put the finish first, the magnet will not stick to the wood. So put on the sticker with the magnet, then put the finish, and then the light puck itself has another magnet that is attached to it, and that's what it will hold it in place, so it will not rattle around. So super easy, the same finished, just pretty much rub it on, let it sit for a few minutes and wipe it off. And then we were ready to assemble the light and see what we have. And I think it turned out absolutely beautiful. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I did learn some little tricks that I will do different next time, but for now, I'm very happy with it.